Welcome back to episode 13, Buckeye Bar Guys here on Buckeye Bar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
Big episode tonight. After all the crap we've been through this whole off season with canceling the season and watching other schools play and season coming back and just the crap of a year that 2020 has been. It's game week, and not only is it game week as of tonight, we're 3 days away from kickoff. We probably will be 2 when this is released. So we did Mike Thomas was our number 3 days till Buckeye Bar Talk on the social media pages today.
A wonderful number 3 he was.
So we'll go with another Mike tomorrow. He'll be Mike Doss Day for number 2. Gonna try to get into this show as quick as possible tonight because we got a lot to get through. Basically, we wanted to go over some of our season expectations and predictions. We're gonna go over some Nebraska stuff, and then we will talk about just kind of our outlook, things we want to see for the game on Saturday.
Right. And then I think we're going to try to go over what we believe on the other Big Ten games as well, if we have time tonight.
Yeah. We'll hit those up real quick at the end. So how you doing, John?
I'm good. Real quick story. Katie and I were trying a food service program, which I was supposed to get lobster ravioli tonight. I got spinach ravioli. So I'm a little upset about that. I'm not going to say which one, though, because we've had good results so far. So I don't want to badmouth them or anything. Honest mistake. But, you've had lobster ravioli before. Yeah. I was looking forward to my lobster ravioli tonight.
Yeah, somebody grabbed the wrong bag when they put it into the
honest mistake or Nebraska fan. I don't know. One of the two.
Or worse, Michigan.
I better not find out I was a Michigan fan.
Yeah. All right. So just real quick, just remember to give us some love, subscribe to the channel. Hit the all notifications, like our videos and comment on them. That's for the YouTube. Same thing goes for, the podcast networks. Make sure you're subscribing to our show and then subscribe to us all across the social media feeds, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we're going to start kind of our first part tonight's kind of our season predictions, just different things we are kind of looking for. So I will read them off, a question to you, and then I will answer with my thought process. So,
Okay.
Who do you think is going to get most rushing yards this year?
Most rushing yards, I go between obviously 2 people, but I'm going to go Trey Sermon. I think he's going to get the bulk of big carries this year.
Actually, that's what I went with also. I just think I kind of think this is going to be one of those years where, and you'll see on the next question where I'm going with one of them's getting the yards and the other one's getting the touchdowns.
Right.
The one's going to be kind of the other one will be in the red zone.
All right, then.
Touchdowns.
Rushing touchdowns. I think you and I are on the same page here then. So I'm going with Master Teague's going to steal the touchdowns. Trey's going to get him close. And Master Teague or Justin Fields are going to be the ones stealing the touchdowns. But I'm going Master Teague with rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I just kind of think that, he's going to be, even though, he's not going to just be red zone only. He's going to get other carries outside. I wouldn't even be surprised if he doesn't start. I'm actually expecting him to start. I just think Sermon is going to have more chances to have bigger runs outside the 20s.
Yeah.
Outside the 20. And then when they get in the red zone, I just think they're going to go power. And I think we know what they like to do. They have receivers. They have a lot of receivers, but it's still Ohio State is still what Ohio State is. I think 2018 was still the anomaly of anomalies.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's just they want to run the ball. And
I absolutely agree.
They're going to use Teague's size. All right, most receiving yards this year.
Receiving yards. So I'm going with Garrett Wilson on this one, and we didn't have catches. I'm going with Garrett Wilson for both receptions and receiving yards. I think he's going to get the bulk. He's going to be the KJ Hill of this offense. So, and he's a little bit more electric than KJ Hill, so he can turn those upfield, and he's going to get good chunk plays out of that.
Same page as you. I went with Wilson also, just because slot receiver. We know how, especially in man-to-man defenses, Ryan Day loves running crossing routes. Mm-hmm. He will be exploiting, the safeties and the linebackers.
And he's an upgrade to KJ Hill. If that was ever possible, this is the guy.
Receiving touchdowns.
I have to go with Chris Olave on this one over Garrett Wilson. When I look at Chris Olave, I think of Devin Smith. He was a guy that caught a lot of touchdowns, a lot of long touchdowns, and I think that's going to continue to happen this year.
I like your thought on that one. I actually went Garrett Wilson again.
I mean, I could easily see it.
I just think because of those crossing routes, and he's going to be that, even when they get in the red zone, he's going to be that mismatched wide receiver that is on a linebacker or something. And I just think he's got the sure hands. I think Olave is going to get his fair share. It's just, I think Wilson's going to be, they're going to really exploit him in that slot role this year.
And that's not a bad pick. I mean, we saw him. He's electric on punt returns. So we know he can make a play in open field as a slot receiver. I'm sure the guy can run a hell of a post route. So yeah, I mean, it's a good call. I think Olave is going to get more touchdowns.
First freshman to break the end zone, get in and score first touchdown.
Well, I had receiver in mind if I didn't put that down.
That's what, yes.
Receiver. I think I'll be a receiver anyways. So this one I've been bouncing back and forth with. My brain says Jackson Smith and Jigba, that he's going to get the most reps with Justin Fields, most reps, with the ones, and he's probably going to be on the field the most. My heart, though, is saying G. Scott Jr., something about his size. I mean, that guy, he is a full grown ass man. So I am definitely, I think it's going to be G. Scott.
Going with your first thought there, I'm going with Jackson. I just think he's going to be that electrical player that's going to be playing a lot of slot position, spelled differently, but my nephew, his name's Jackson, so I'm going with that one. Going with that. Shout out and love to my nephew.
I mean, and he's probably the most well equipped and seasoned wide receiver coming in. So I could see him being, a couple steps in front of the other guys. So he might be on the field more than the other guys as well.
All right. Your breakout offensive player of the year.
Excuse me. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I mean, yeah, I love it. I think that a few of these freshmen are definitely going to get playing time. I could see it. I'm going with the new boy, the veteran. He's new too, veteran Trey Sermon.
Oh, I like that. I do.
I think, like I said, I think he's going to have a real opportunity to get a lot of big home run hits, and he's going to pick up a lot of yardage. And I just think he's going to be one of those guys that they're on the 50, and then before you know it, they're on the 15 because he just has a big run. I think he's going to be used in the passing game. We saw under Ryan Day's offense that, they loved going to the screen passes. I just see this dude sitting out here at the 50-45 of Ohio State and taking a screen pass to the house. So I think he just adds another dimension. I think he's going to want to prove a lot of people. He's coming off an injury. There's some people that are saying that maybe is he going to really get the same looks as a lot of people thought he did with Teague. Going to be sounds like pretty healthy, and I think he's going to do a lot of good. I mean,
the guy left Oklahoma for a reason. So I think he knows he's in a better situation. I think he knows he can be featured, and he's trying to get to the league. So yeah, he's going to be all right. I do. Jackson Smith, I think, would be one or mine, but look out for Juice Williams also.
I was actually considering him also. I think
watch out for that guy because he's going to be
he's the guy that he's the Ted Ginn of. Yeah, I've said this before. He's Ted Ginn of 2005, and everybody knows how important Ted Ginn was because you have Olave, Santonio Holmes, Garrett Wilson as Gonzo, and just that guy that takes the top off the defense.
Who knows if he can field a punt? He might be Ted Ginn of 2004 and 5.
Yeah. Your offensive player of the year.
I don't think there's any real mystery to this one. Justin Fields.
None at all. I don't think we're going to go into a big long thing on this one. No. I mean, he's a Heisman contender. He's going to win I think he's going to win a quarterback or 2 awards this year.
Justin Fields is the best all around quarterback to ever play for Ohio State.
Yeah, I pretty much right there. And who do you think is going to have the most sacks on this team?
So I went with 2 guys for the longest time, and I actually changed my mind earlier today. I'm saying Jonathan Cooper, and because of the shortened season, I'm going to give him 7 sacks.
I like Coop. I think Coop is definitely we talked about him on the last episode. He's kind of like, he's just the spiritual, the big leader of this defense. I am actually going with Sack Harrison.
He's got the goods.
I just think he's the next big thing. I think Cooper, I think Tyreek, Tyler Fred, I think they're all going to do something.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of leaning. He's going to be, I said 10. I think he's going to get to 10.
That's a good number. Yeah. I mean, it could happen. I mean, hell, Chase Young had 17 in 13 games, so it could happen.
Who do you think's get the most interceptions on the team?
I'm saying Marcus Hooker.
That's who I went with.
It's in his blood, man. You love that, center field, ball hawking, deep safety. I think Marcus Hooker is going to have your most interceptions.
What do you think? Just if you're throwing in a number at it.
I don't think he has enough to hit Malik's 6. I mean, I don't think he's as good as Malik anyway, so I'm going to go 4.
That's actually where I was thinking too. 4 is my guess on that one. So, yep. All right, your breakout defensive player.
This is another one I've been bouncing around with, and just one name popped in my head today, and I don't know. I don't think you're going to be here with me. So, former 5-star Tyreek Johnson. I don't know, something about it. He put up some cryptic tweets on Twitter that he was coming for those that doubted him. You finally started hearing good things about him in the offseason. He's definitely got that frame that Kerry Combs and Ohio State loves. I think he could be. I mean, Marcus Williamson's going to get that start, but I think Tyreek Johnson's coming off the bench and he's going to play that slot or one of those other corners, and he's going to do very well.
I'm going to I was bouncing back and forth between two guys, and I'm going to kind of cheat here because I'm going to say both of them.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Browning and Pete Werner. I think that it's Brian. They both have been they both have started a lot of games, but neither one of them, in my opinion, has lived up to their full hype yet. Warner,
more so.
I think more so. I think he's going to be even more dominant.
Pete Werner, though, honestly, I mean, in some ways, when you think about it, if you didn't know much about him, and again, he wasn't Baron Browning coming out of high school. He might have actually surpassed some of his height.
Yeah, I think,
but he could be better
with his new position. He's just going to be so dominant against the run.
Yeah,
and we've heard a lot of things on different the forums. A couple other insiders have said some stuff. He's going to be a monster against the run, and I think, and for Thayer Munford said today, pretty much that's now where I was leaning Warner going into that, and I'm like, I think just Browning is just going to be dominant. They're going to try to get him in positions where he can just go after the quarterback at different times, and
he was actually my dark horse sack leader. They're gonna let him go. He's gonna look like Darren Lee in 2014.
I could see
and he's
that.
Bigger. He's faster, stronger.
Definitely see that. So that's kind of where I'm going. The two linebackers, they switch spots, and I think each one of them are going to benefit crazy out of it.
Absolutely.
Your defensive player of the year.
This could be tricky. I'm going to play it safe, though. I'm going to say Shaun Wade is defensive player of the year. He's going to be that next Jeffrey Okudah. He's going to be the next Marshawn Lattimore. He's going to be a lockdown cornerback. You're not going to be able to throw in the guy. Pretty much is going to be Wade's island. Try him if you want to, but he's just too long, too talented, too fast. No one's going to have the type of success on him to win games.
And actually, I went with the same person. And the only reason why I went that is there was times last year where you forgot Okudah was on the team, and I think Shaun Wade has. And honestly, the same thing.
If you were going against guys that were impactful because they tested him, I mean, Shaun Wade was one of those guys last year. I mean, you saw how much it hurt in the different games, like Michigan when he wasn't playing.
Yeah,
when he got kicked out against Clemson, you saw what Shaun Wade not being on the field did to that team.
All right. Any other major bold predictions or any other season predictions you kind of want to throw out there, you think?
So longest time I had a very bold prediction, which you might have the same one. So I'm not going to go with that. I actually have a couple bold predictions, so I kind of cheated on this one. I apologize. So number one, Buckeyes are going to play all 9 of their games. I know it's scary. I don't know. I kind of, after I said it, I started kind of doubting myself, but I'm going to double down on it. They're going to play all 9 games. No cancellations for Ohio State this season. 2, they will play and defeat Minnesota in the Big Ten championship game. Minnesota will beat Wisconsin because they've they've evolved into a passing offense, and Wisconsin, we all know that that's what they can't handle. And number 3, Justin Fields surpasses Dwayne Haskins' 70% completion percentage.
Well, I definitely like
It might be 70.1, but he will surpass Dwayne Haskins and have the highest season completion percentage in Ohio State history.
I like all that. I want to mention just one thing on your first part on they're going to play all 9 games. I kind of tend to agree with you. It just seems like, I don't know, for as crap as the Big Ten has looked and for as crappy as the Big Ten has looked into different things, they I think are just they've kind of came with the best procedures possible now. Sorry, I got lost there on my head. Just the best procedures. They're the strictest, and it seems like everybody's kind of taking it seriously.
Yeah. And that's the one thing. That's another thing that I think is going to be huge is that they want to play. So, I mean, they're all taking it very seriously. It's not going to be them. In no way do I think it's going to be them if somehow a game gets canceled. I think it would be the other team.
All right. So my kind of my predictions, just season wide predictions. I do like a lot of what you said there. Minnesota is actually kind of where I've kind of put them as my second place team. I think that they're going to beat Wisconsin. Buckeyes go 8-0, and they're going to rematch Nebraska. And I'm not saying Nebraska going 7-1. I think Nebraska's losing to Penn State, but I think they're going to beat Wisconsin. I think they're going to beat Minnesota. I really like what Scott Frost has done there. Maybe it's just kind of really studying for this game, but it just, I kind of felt like when they hired him a couple years ago, if they really gave him the opportunity, I think he could really they're not going to be the Nebraska of old. It's just recruiting dynamics where all the players have kind of went into the country. It's not it's not as much of a regional thing. I mean,
Right.
There's regional players that Tom Osborne can get. Everything's much more national now. So he's never gonna beat Ohio State and Penn State in recruiting.
Well, right, because I mean it's the bigger name coming in to his backyard again, but Scott Frost is going to lock down that area though.
But I like him. I like their team. I think he'll beat both Wisconsin and Nebraska. I do think he will drop one other game on his side.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be one of those Northwesterns, Iowa, or Illinois. Somebody's going to get them over there. But I think I kind of think it's going to be a 3-way tie with them, Wisconsin and Minnesota, all at 5-3. But those two will beat Wisconsin, and then they will have the tiebreaker over Minnesota. That's kind of the way I'm thinking.
That was mine for the longest time. I kind of backed away from it, though. I did some research on Nebraska last night. Of course, we're going to get into a little game breakdown here in a little bit. So, talent-wise, I think they've surpassed the other teams in the West talent-wise.
Yeah.
So, he's definitely done a hell of a job recruiting and getting in some pieces there. So, it's not crazy. I think Nebraska, they are going to turn a corner in a sense that they're not losing games they're not supposed to lose anymore.
Yeah. And then just last couple of things I wanted to throw out there. I think we're going to get to the 3rd seed as a playoff team. I don't think we will have enough games to get to number 2 or 1.
I agree with that.
Clemson's going to be the top seed. I think that they're just going to continue just rolling over the teams in the ACC. And I think Notre Dame's going to stay undefeated until Clemson plays them, and Clemson's going to beat them up in South Bend. I think that's going to be such an impressive win that's going to be the guarantee. Alabama, we just saw what they did this week against Georgia, and they're going to win out. They're going to win out the SEC. And
I don't see anyone that has the firepower to beat them, but that defense against Ole Miss, man, that was that was shaky.
We'll see when they play maybe a better offense. Maybe I'll think a little bit differently. But right now, I'm thinking they're going undefeated in the SEC. Ohio State will get to 3. So Clemson will pick the Sugar Bowl to play. And then we will be playing Clemson out in the Rose Bowl.
Alabama
out in the Rose Bowl. For the Rose Bowl, everybody was talking about us playing our phony Rose Bowl in the spring. We'll be playing in the real Rose Bowl, and we will be beating Alabama in the phony Rose Bowl. My 4th team, some people are saying, is it going to be in a second ACC team? Some people are saying, is it going to be a second SEC team? I think the next best SEC team we saw this weekend, has no offense. They're going to lose again to Alabama. So they will have 2 losses.
They might lose to Florida.
And I think the 2 teams that are going to fight out for number 4 are going to be the undefeated Oregon Ducks and the 7-1 Penn State Nittany Lions. And I think Oregon, being a conference champion and undefeated, will get the edge. And I think Oregon's going to the playoffs. Clemson's going to annihilate them. They'll get the easy win on that one. I do like what Cristobal has done, though, in Oregon. I think he's brought a real toughness to them that, that was always kind of the joke of Oregon.
Yeah.
They didn't have. And I think they're going to walk through the Pac-12. That's my belief.
I'll believe they're tough when I see it. What, no Bearcats? No love for Luke?
Nope.
He's not going to the playoffs?
That's your 4 teams.
Okay.
And then we play Clemson for the national title. And just like Dabo needed that loss against Alabama in 2015 to go win the national title, and 2016, same thing for Ryan Day. He needed that loss last year, and he will win the national title this year.
And forever be a powerhouse after that?
Yeah, I think so. They will win. He will win the national title. I think it will be a fairly good game, but I'm saying 34-24, national champions.
Okay. I like it. I mean, I wasn't going that far tonight, but no, I can definitely see it. Those
are my predictions.
I'm so pumped for this year.
All right, so let's get into Nebraska. So Scott Frost had his little press conference the other day. It's actually, it's weird. It's one of the first. I mean, I've listened to other coaches' press conference before, but I've never really taken notes.
Yeah.
On it. So it's
I didn't take any notes, but I watched him.
And like I said, I like Scott Frost. He's not going to announce a depth chart. I mean, it seems like that's more and more the common thing to do for college.
It's all that gamesmanship.
So it sounds like Adrian Martinez is going to be the starter, but he had a lot of good things to say about Luke McCaffrey. Of course, McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey's brother, Dylan McCaffrey's brother, Ed McCaffrey's father. There's another brother in there that's coaching now somewhere, but
yeah.
So just your kind of thoughts on Martinez starting.
I think Scott kind of made it. Scott Frost, I think he said that if it was roles reverse and Luke was the past starter, that Luke would have been starting this year. So it sounds like they're kind of on even footing there. They're very similar. So it's not too hard to game plan against. I mean, it is because they're dynamic quarterbacks, but at least they're both similar skill sets that you're not, stopping RPOs. And then McCaffrey comes in and he's just like, pro style, throw it all over you type guy. So at least it's consistent to what you have to work on. But Adrian Martinez is a good player. He was good 2 years ago. He was banged up last year. Yep. So I'm looking for him to have a rebound year.
If I was a Nebraska fan, I think one of the things that kind of would worry me is that he did say that he feels like he has the luxury of having 2 starting quarterbacks. I've always been in that camp. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And
we saw it firsthand in 2015.
It just creates a different,
and 96.
I mean, the only time I've literally seen it work, I mean, I'm sure it's worked other times, but the only time that in my head that I can really think of it working is, they beat us, the 06 Gators, where, and they only used Tebow.
But they didn't need to
use
use
Tebow as their sledgehammer.
Yeah.
I'm going to run this ball in.
He was used as a fullback. I mean, they didn't need to use Tebow. And
I mean, they were more using Tebow as a wildcat quarterback than anything else. He was just kind of,
I think, became one of the greatest college quarterbacks ever.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I just have never, it just doesn't work. You need this, you need that leadership, and you need it to be from one guy. And
I think by the end of the day, I mean, they're going to have one quarterback with Nebraska. It's just trying to figure out who is that guy.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. They got some tough games early on for them to think that. I mean, I hope he's not thinking he's going to be splitting a lot of this time, because I mean, he's playing Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Penn State. So, I mean,
3 out of the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, it's no picnic right there.
No.
He did say that somebody asked him if they thought, the conference teams will be ready. And he said he thinks the extra practice time has helped, kind of also seeing. Ryan Day also said something similar in his press conference, that kind of seeing everybody and how everybody's been going through the season. And the Big Ten kind of benefits from that right now, that they kind of just sit back and watch. Okay, we need to practice a little bit more tackling because, it's obviously hurting a lot of these other schools. He was asked a lot about Ohio State. I've not, outside of listening to some of our fans, I don't think I've heard more Ohio State love.
Oh, he had some glowing remarks for Ohio State. That's for sure.
He kind of, he made a little bit of a zinger. He said, obviously they played from last year. He's like, he said, and he did. He said that it was the best team he's coached against. He's like, we kept that game close for a couple minutes. And I laughed out loud when I heard that one. That was pretty good.
That was a good joke.
He actually gave a lot of credit. And, we kind of talked about this on the show, that how much really did Ohio State do behind the scenes to get the season going? You kind of made the way Frost made it sound as Ohio State was the driving force behind everything. That, he said he owes all the credit to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And being the Buckeye homer I am, I've given Nebraska a lot of credit for what they've done, but Ohio State was the team that needed the beat.
Well, that's the thing. They're the ones that needed to speak up. And I think even if Scott Frost might not want to say it, and I know like Nebraska fans, they don't want to admit it because they're a very proud fan base, just like we are. Historically, this is one of the greatest teams in college football history. Nebraska right now, they don't have and I can't think of the word, but they just don't have that it factor that their voice holds the weight that Ohio State's does.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, it's just a different.
And that's facts.
It's not Tom Osborne's Nebraska. This is just a much different era now than that we're in.
And I know, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm not trying to be offensive to any Nebraska fans. I think you guys are all great. I love, that we got a season going together, but it's just two different leagues right now.
He said that he will be rooting for Ohio State in every game besides this weekend.
I'm rooting for them in every game besides this weekend too.
Like I said, I think that they're going to be,
until we play them the second time.
We'll be there the second time. I do like him. He did say that he feels they're a little green at some positions. He said that's been one of his biggest issues as being a coach there, is every time he thinks he's maybe getting a little depth, and
there's so much turnover for him that
it's been affecting him. And again, that just comes back to recruiting, is that, it's Ohio State is just on a different playing field,
right?
That, even if Master Teague and Trey Sermon weren't there, but if Steele and Crowley were healthy, you have confidence going to those guys at that point.
A lot of it is honestly, once you get that, unless, if you come in, you're a great coach and you have a lot of sophomores on your team or juniors, someone that's going to be there for another year, that you can start getting that leadership continuity that they can start teaching the next guys. But if you are like Urban Meyer and your second year there, you get a home run, or first year there, you get a home run recruiting class, that helps so much.
Yeah.
That just changes everything. And if you can sustain it.
Yeah. And, we've had several home run recruiting classes.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Top 5 recruiting classes.
Some years have been better. Some years get better. Ryan Day might have the best class yet.
Yeah. So again, I think he was, came off as confident to me. That he knows he's got a very big uphill battle against Ohio State, but I think you definitely know that they're going to come in with that. He said they're super excited to be playing. They wanted to play. I don't think they're fazed by the challenges the Big Ten threw at him. He said, somebody asked him, I think it was Rabinowitz, when Rabinowitz was asking him questions from if he thought it was a coincidence that he opened up against Ohio State. He's like, no, I don't think it's a coincidence. And I don't think it was a coincidence either. I think, there's punishment that the Big Ten could do to Nebraska that they really can't do to Ohio State. Because, you could throw all of Ohio State's tough games right at them right at the beginning.
Right.
And, Ohio State's still going to be favored in every single one of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Unless you're contracting out Clemson and Alabama, to come up north. And even then, those are probably push games.
I would love to have a regular season game against either one of them.
Yeah, me too. So I liked a lot what Scott Frost said. I've actually kind of been a big fan of his for a while. he just, I mean, he comes off as, some people says he comes off as a little cocky at times. I just think he comes off as overconfident. I mean, the guy's been a winner at different places. And
he won a national title. I mean, he comes off as a guy that's an ex-football player that's at his alma mater, that he's a successful man. I mean, he won a national title at Nebraska as their starting quarterback. Yeah. And he's also been, he took UCF to an undefeated season. Yeah. So the guy's had success. He coached Oregon as an offensive coordinator in a national title game.
Yeah. So definitely listening to him, I'm even more excited about the game. So, kind of going into the quarterback things. So, Adrian Martinez is, the starter. Basically what he said is, which we've already went, they feel like they have two of these guys. And, pretty much Martinez, it's because he's been the starter. It's kind of where he got, the starting job over. Going though off of McCaffrey, he did play some last year. He played over 5 series against Indiana, was 5 for 6, 71 yards, threw a touchdown, ran 12 times for 76 yards. And then he also threw a touchdown and he lost to Iowa. So he's gotten some playing time.
Yeah, limited.
Martinez was hurt some, so he did get some playing time.
Well, they had another guy there that transferred to Rutgers.
Yeah. And Martinez, he was the most productive freshman in the nation in 2018. So
it was good.
That's obviously where they want to get back to. Are they going to be able to get back to that? Just your thoughts on the quarterbacks. A running quarterbacks always kind of throw a little extra dynamics at stuff.
Adrian Martinez, he's a good player, and I got some of his stats written down. So last year wasn't a good year. He was injured though, so he threw under 60% completion percentage. He threw under 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, but he was hurt. Total he's over 60% for career, 62. He's thrown over 4,000 yards. He has over 1,200 rushing yards in his 2 years. Yeah. So 27 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. The guy is a good quarterback. He's a legit quarterback. So I know last year he didn't do so well, but he's good. If he's healthy, he's someone to watch out for.
Yeah. I think it's a good test for the Buckeyes. They'll be playing him right now. There's going to be some question marks on the defense. Everybody's got question marks right now.
Honestly, and I don't want not disrespecting Nebraska. I don't think, I do think we'll win easily, but that's kind of like, if you think about it, the perfect first game when you have Penn State week 2, because they're both dynamic offenses. Yeah. So they have the best athletes. Outside of maybe the last team on the schedule, but they have the best athletes Ohio State's going to play all year. So, it's definitely Penn State does, but Nebraska's number 2 in that regard. So it's a great, kind of like get your feet wet, get ready type game. So that's good for them.
And
and hopefully they don't expose them too much. Penn State has something to watch.
And even that, being exposed also gives stuff for Ohio State to work on.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and usually, football, the best teams always make their best improvement from week 2 from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. There's always new things. You don't study film and it's tough when you're playing a conference team to open up the season. Nebraska is a good team. Scott Frost is a good coach. They have a new offensive coordinator. They're going to come up with some stuff to throw at Ohio State that Ohio State's not ready for. And so it's just a good test.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think just kind of going off other offensive players. So, their bell cow running backs, Dedrick Mills. He's been there, a while.
He's had 2, I believe, like 700 rushing yard seasons. Not like a ton of carries though. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry.
He did. He had a touchdown against the Buckeyes last year. I do remember the
sole touchdown.
I do remember that he had the touchdown. I think the big one that we're all kind of wondering how he's going to look, how healthy he is Wandale. 2 years ago, that was, that position on the field gave Ohio State a lot of fits, especially when you think about, Rondale Moore from Purdue. I mean, and Wandale's he's just another.
He's a clone.
He's just a big time athlete. That's just he makes plays when he gets out in space, and so that kind of worries me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, especially with the new safeties coming in. The one thing about Wandale is, and we can talk about this again a little bit later on, but they said that they're going to try to use him mostly as a receiver this year. I think, especially against Ohio State, they're going to have to give that guy handoffs. They got to keep it dynamic. They got to keep Ohio State on their toes.
And they will. I think we're going to mostly keep him as a receiver.
You think that's a little gamesmanship?
I think it's gamesmanship. I think they have some plays planned for Wandale that they have to.
You have to get that guy the ball any way you can.
They got to throw. If you're going to beat Ohio State, you got to put the best guys out. Your best guys have to get the ball as much as possible.
Right.
And, Ohio State kind of took Nebraska real quick out of their game plan last year. And so Nebraska is not going to want to get, they're just going to have to do everything they can to stay.
And if you remember the game last year, and we kicked the crap out of them, but if you remember the game last year, that's the first Okudah interception. I know Chase has a great play and Okudah makes a great play to get in front of, I think it's Wandale. The second interception though, they're kind of driving on Ohio State. They went back to 97 and they're running the triple option.
And pulled the Osborne off.
Oh my God. Ohio State wasn't ready for it. And Okudah makes, interception from his butt. So, and then that was that. From there, they kind of were, crushed after that in Ohio State.
And that
physically crushed them.
And that one series, Nebraska doesn't play that style of football anymore. He might have had some plays drawn up to, get Ohio State. And maybe if they would have stayed with that type of offense, they might have,
ran out the clock losing, but
they would have still lost. Ohio State would have.
Ohio State, I don't think Ohio State was ever in any trouble. They would have losing to the triple option.
It's there's only a couple of teams that run that unbelievably smooth now, and
you got to do it for years.
They're armed service schools.
That
for years.
That has to be your offensive set, and pretty much your only offensive set to be successful at it.
Yeah.
And to be a winner. With
another look on the offense. So another guy that the Ohio State probably has to be a little concerned about is Alante Brown. Again, hurt some last year, but there's always had some good praise for him as a wide receiver. If he's back healthy this year, he could be a threat to Ohio State.
Well, they got some receiving depth.
Those are the two.
Well, they got what's his face, Omar Manning too. That the JUCO transfer.
Yeah.
So, Alante Brown was your number one prep transfer or prep recruit, and Omar Manning was your number one JUCO receiver. So they got some pieces. I'll talk more about that a little bit. Well, actually, I can talk about it now with the receivers. So, all right. So they weren't bowl eligible last year. So they didn't get their extra, practices. They got a new offensive coordinator that came in. However, he worked with Scott Frost in the past, so I don't think he's going to change up the playbook or anything. No. He took over for Scott Frost actually at Oregon, and he's a receivers coach originally. So definitely, that's the type of guy you want in there if you're working with a lot of new pieces for receivers. It's just, some of these guys are hurt, and your whole season got pushed back. You didn't get the practices in the spring that you normally do. So I think there's going to be some growing pains with this receiving core, because on paper, they should be amazing and they should be a mismatch for almost any secondary that they play. However, I think there's going to take a little bit of time for them to gel, and I'm not sure how that'll work right now. So Alante Brown, he's definitely going to he's someone to look out for. I'm not too worried about the receivers blowing, the top off of this game.
Yeah, I agree with the same things. It's just, I did the article that I read, they said, that Robinson and Alante Brown right now they're the biggest pieces. Just if they come back from their injuries, that
Omar Manning, he's hurt too.
Yeah. So
and he's a big boy. He's like 6'4".
And obviously, timing is going to be everything with receivers. And I don't know how much really has Martinez really gotten thrown to these kids.
Well, right. These are new guys that he hasn't thrown the ball to. So you got to be familiar with your receivers.
Yeah. A lot of praise. I think the offensive line was rated, as they saw, as like their second best position group.
It sounds like they got the real deal at offensive line.
Yeah.
They got most of them are returning, big bodied guys. I know their center last year, he was recruited as a tight end, so he had a lot of trouble with his snaps last year, his shotgun snaps, but definitely seemed like something that he shored up by the end of the year. Sounds like this offensive line is a pretty strong unit though on their team. And they got good tight ends too.
And, for their center that his name's escaping me, but
it's Cam Jurgens.
I guess when he was recruited, a lot of people gave Frost a hard time because Frost he's going to be a Remington finalist in a couple years. And everybody some of the media gave him a hard time for it. I mean, he's on a bunch of the watch lists.
Oh
so,
yeah, he might be a Remington finalist the next couple years, but that trophy is coming to Columbus the next couple years.
Yeah.
We got Myers, Miller, Whippler.
Yeah.
Whipler. I can't. Yeah. So he's got, I don't know if the Remington's going to find Lincoln.
So that's kind of, if you just, kind of thinking about, some of the things our defense has to, watch out for. And our defense, that's who's going to get challenged the most. I mean, Nebraska's got some pieces coming back on their defense, but I mean, our offense is what our offense is. And right now, this game really is it's going to be the tale of the two offenses. Against, both defenses. There's some question marks on.
I'm looking to see what they can do with Wandale in space against, what's going to be a new slot corner and what's going to be a new safety.
Yeah.
That's that can be kind of scary. I have all confidence in Ohio State, but definitely, the getting your feet wet type of game, not probably the most fun guy to cover out there.
The position group article that I read, and I will attach this to our show notes for Nebraska, that on their defensive side. So they have Colin Miller and JoJo Doman are back at linebackers, but they have outside of that, they have, I think that's they rated them the second lowest out of all their position groups, their linebackers.
Young guys, played in a lot of games. Definitely from what I was reading though, doesn't look like they were playing a lot in the games because it was 11 games, 10 tackles for them. So,
and their defensive line again was rated I think they were rated above the linebackers, but still, I mean, they similar to Ohio State, they
replaced the whole line.
They replaced a bunch, but unlike Ohio State has depth, and these are a lot of new faces coming in.
The one thing that at least suits them well is these are big bodied individuals for a 3-4 defense. So that's going to be good for them. But just like Ohio State, they replaced their entire defensive line.
Yeah. And then their top 3 position groups that they come in. So we are talking about the offensive line. I believe actually the running backs were their second, but their corners, their secondary are rated as their top position.
Yeah, they got a good secondary. They got 2 could be all Big Ten cornerbacks, at least honorable mention. So that's their strength is their cornerbacks. I know their one safety was hurt all of last year. The other one had 42 tackles last year, so he had a lot of playing time last year.
And which one was that? The tackles is
Marquis Dismuke.
Yeah. So those are so the 4 that are back. So Camp Taylor Britt, DiCaprio Boodle, Markel Dismuke, and Deontay Williams.
And Deontay Williams was hurt last season. He got hurt in the first game.
So I mean, seems like that's definitely their strength and their defense. Ohio State's strength, one of their big strengths are going to be the wide receiver corps. So really interesting to see that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great battle. And it's going to be interesting to see what Ryan Day and Brian Hartline draw up to. I mean, because you never know. I don't know if you're going to throw all over these guys off the bat. You might have to see what they give you and then come up with a game plan to beat what they're doing.
Any kind of last thoughts on Nebraska? Anything that you wrote down that you want to throw out there? That my biggest concerns are still it's Wandale. I mean, that's going to be
I think Wandale and Adrian Martinez together just against newer pieces on the defense. Honestly, running back is I think it's going to be interesting. I want to see how our interior holds up. The guy that's behind Mills isn't the biggest guy, but they got some pretty big true freshmen behind him.
Yeah.
So, and I what I was reading is they're looking for both of those guys. I believe they are. Hold on. Sevion Morrison and Marvin Scott III. They're looking for both of them to get some reps this year. So a lot of playing time, actually. So I'm interested to see what they do. Hopefully neither one's hurt and I just made a fool of myself.
Yeah, no, actually I read about them too. And so I think Frost talked about some of his backs, after Mills, that's one of the positions that he said that they're a little green on. You have,
but they got a lot of talent.
But they do have a lot of talent. And so, I mean, normally you think you're fine if you're Ohio State's defense against running backs. I mean, history always seems like that favor Ohio State in those battles, but I mean, you never know. Again, you're replacing different people. I think Warner and Tuff are fine in the middle against those type of running backs, and
be interesting to see if the linemen can get to them though.
Yeah. I think again, my biggest concerns are just Adrian Martinez. A couple things at the end of the year they got me nervous about running quarterbacks last year, and
that's an understatement.
And then 2 years ago when slot receivers and tight ends, and Nebraska's gonna have. I know that they have some younger tight ends.
They got some good tight ends,
so that makes me nervous.
Their starting tight end had 25 receptions last year.
Yeah, so that makes me nervous. So the middle of the field is gonna really I'm really interested to see that side of the ball for the Ohio State's defense against Nebraska's offense, because I think there is some stuff Nebraska's offense could exploit Ohio State on. I mean, we kind of talked about in the last episode where the Shaun Wade position, with him moving back outside from last year.
That's scary when you got Wan'Dale Robinson lining up.
Makes you a little nervous.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Wan'Dale and Adrian Martinez are definitely the two that I'm watching out for.
All right. Before we get into where we kind of at on time,
50 minutes.
Okay. So let's look at the league first. I think let me pull up the Big Ten schedule for this weekend. So
I know it's Wisconsin, Illinois is the first game on Friday.
Of course, ESPN doesn't have it up here.
So my thoughts on that game is Wisconsin's going to win. I think they'll win easily. I know Illinois beat them last year. Illinois also, because I did some research on them because they were supposed to be our first game. So Illinois has a good defensive line. They actually have a very good underrated offensive line that a couple of those guys they expect to be able to go pro, and they got a good tight end too. So I think Illinois could do some things against Wisconsin, but that's kind of Wisconsin's bread and butter. Even if it got them last year, is when you try to play Wisconsin against Wisconsin, you usually lose.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I was a little distracted pulling that up. So you said Wisconsin over Illinois.
I think Wisconsin's going to win.
Was that the game? Was and I'm sorry if you just said that. Is this Illinois? Is that who upset them last year?
Illinois is who beat them before us. Yes.
Okay. So I agree with you. I think Wisconsin handles. I think they handle them a little bit. They handle them.
I'm interested to see what Graham Mertz does.
I like Lovey as a coach. I don't. These guys just never get out of Illinois.
Yeah.
Like they want to get out of Illinois.
He is though. It's a very slow turn for Illinois, but he is getting them turned around.
He's brought some toughness back into Illinois that they could compete in this game just because you know what Wisconsin's going to want to do. I'm interested in, Wisconsin.
I'm interested to see what a 5-star quarterback does at Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in that too. I'm looking forward to watching this game. Just it'd be nice to see a Big Ten.
Oh my gosh.
So I know I'll be watching it that night.
I'm gonna have to. I'll put myself in a bubble, make sure I make it through so I can get to the next day.
Yeah. Michigan State Rutgers. I think this one's a no-brainer, but
I'm going Sparty, but they're bad. So
it just,
who knows? Do you think it'd be crazy if Shiano beat them? Michigan State's bad.
Yeah.
And they're all new.
They got to have talent though. I know Rutgers did bring a lot of transfer kids in.
They got a ton of transfers.
So I don't know. Just because of the transfer things and Shiano's your head coach, they might be more competitive this year than you normally think Rutgers is.
They got what's his face from Ohio State, Brendan White.
I'm thinking I'm going with Michigan State just because
it's Rutgers.
Yeah. Until Rutgers proves otherwise, I'm saying Michigan State beats them. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be an easy win for Michigan State. I really don't think that. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than you
Where's
think.
it at?
Right now it's at
Who's at home?
Michigan State's at home, and it's a 13.5 points.
Yeah, I'm going with Sparty on that one.
I don't think they beat them by 2 touchdowns. I think it's a 10-point win.
It's probably 10-0. That's probably the score of this game.
Yeah, I can see that. And Wisconsin was a 20-point, and they're home. Do you see them covering that game?
Yes.
I do by the end of it. I think it's going to be closer early, but I do think them covering.
I think they cover.
Penn State, Indiana. Penn State's on the road, and they're 6.5-point favorites.
Indiana's going to get someone this year, but it's not going to be Penn State.
No, and I think Penn State. I think Indiana is gonna. I think it's gonna. Actually, I think this game will probably end up being similar to the Ohio State Nebraska game, where it's gonna be a lot closer in the first half than probably the Ohio State and Penn State fan bases like.
Yeah.
And they'll both pull away in the second half. So I have Penn State in that game. Iowa is on the road is a 3.5-point favorite against Purdue. What do you think?
I don't really. I mean, Jeff Brom's not coaching, right?
That's the latest I've heard. I know they're petitioning the Big Ten to let him remotely coach. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Can I just why can't he remotely coach?
I don't know. I don't even know why that's
stupid. Why is that even a thing? Like,
I don't know why that has to be petitioned.
Why can't they like put him in bubble wrap and put him on the sidelines and just stand like 100 feet away from everyone else?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, I think the Big Ten is overreacting so much on all this, but to go back to that, Purdue, I know Rondale was hurt a bunch last year. They weren't as impressive last season. I think they were Purdue's kind of like that team anymore that they kind of have that magic for 1 year and then they go away for like the next 8 or so. So I'm going with Iowa on the road. I think they're going to win.
Got our first disagreement on here. I think Purdue beats them. So I think Rondale Moore's going to have a good game against them.
I mean, that's okay.
It's that. I just think we've had a lot of agreements tonight that.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about Ohio State players, yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy.
I do think Purdue wins this game. I think they kind of easily win it because unless Iowa's playing Ohio State, they don't score a lot of points. And for some reason, I think as long as the coaching situation is Brom's ready, as long as Brom has whoever's going to coach for him can do it, I think Purdue easily wins this game. And when I say easily, I mean, it's not going to be a crazy, 60-5 game or 60-10 game. I mean, they win 35-38 to I think 21, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So I do like Purdue. I think with Rondale Moore back, I think they're kind of one of they're my possible dark horse in the West because you never know with them. They always have that weird history in there where, they can show up.
Hey, they get out of the West. That's fine. I want to kick the crap out of those guys. Either one of those two teams. If I could get either one of them in the Big Ten championship, I'd be happy.
Maryland on the road at Northwestern. Northwestern's 11-point favorite.
Northwestern.
Yeah, I agree.
Maryland's bad.
I don't. They have a talent-rich area. I mean, maybe Loxley is the guy that's gonna.
Remember last year when I was like, they put up like 70 points in the first 3 games. They were like kicking everyone's butts, and
then they.
What the hell? What kind of fraud was that?
And then Michigan on the road, Minnesota. Michigan's a 3-point favorite.
Michigan will lose by at least 10 points in this game.
I think there's been some rumors.
At least 7 points.
Minnesota, they're going to have a couple guys out. It's been some rumors that they have some fails.
Okay. It's Rashad Bateman.
We haven't heard yet. There's been some.
I guess it depends on who lines up for them.
I'm still going Minnesota.
If the wrong guy or the right guys are out, then yeah.
That's just, I heard that yesterday. Somebody threw it out there that Minnesota's going to have a couple guys that are not going to play because of COVID reasons. Don't hold me to anything on that one. That's just, I saw, and I did see a media person say it, but it hasn't been officially announced. And this was just getting from information from somebody, a source that, and they went with it.
Man, they're going to be out for 3 weeks.
So
that's brutal.
But I don't know if they took the second test yet up to that point.
Okay.
So
Well,
we don't know. And I could be completely 100% wrong. I'm still going with Minnesota. I think Michigan is going to go 4-4 on their schedule this year. I said they were going to lose to Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Penn State. And then they were going to lose one of the 2 games at the beginning of the season. I think they beat Michigan State, so I'm going to go with Minnesota as the other loss.
What about Indiana? That's the team I think Indiana's finally going to get.
Well,
I think they're going to beat Michigan.
If that happens, then things get really interesting. Harbaugh's really they're not extending that contract anytime soon. So you go into next year with his last year coaching.
Quick rant about Michigan. So Dylan McCaffrey, I mean, the guy was supposed to be the starter this year. And then we heard Joe Milton, he transfers and we hear it's because Joe Milton beat him out. But doesn't that just seem like there has to be something else there? Like there's some sort of dysfunction or something that happened behind the scenes, because who would leave like that right before the season? I mean, he easily could beat this guy back out.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's before they were even practicing. Like, how can you say that Joe Milton was going to beat him before you actually had padded practices? That Joe Milton was going to be your starter? I don't get it. It just doesn't seem right.
My personal opinion on the whole McCaffrey situation. You see this from players that come from NFL royalty. I mean, Ed McCaffrey, legitimate NFL player, played a long time. He won Super Bowls with the Broncos, correct? He was on.
Yeah.
Obviously all 4 of his kids have played major Division I college football. 2 of them went to the NFL. One's coaching somewhere else right now. Actually coaching. I don't know if it's NFL or not. Christian is one of the better players in the NFL.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of high praise for him. I think when you grow up in a family like that, it's kind of the whole Craig James's kid down at it's just sometimes when you have a father that played major football, sometimes coaching personalities just don't jive with these kids. And we've heard a lot about Harbaugh from his days even in San Francisco, even at Stanford. I mean, he rubs people the wrong way, and I could just see where where these kids have grown up in a football family. They're used to a certain way from their father, and Jim Harbaugh style just kind of.
No, I can agree with you on that.
And that's just my opinion. It's just I think Dylan McCaffrey probably is better quarterback than Joe Milton. I know he's the next coming is this.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you listening to some of their fan bases. I mean, I hope he stays healthy to Ohio State, because I can't wait to see his. I can't wait to see the next Cam Newton get his handed to him.
I mean, he's played in 2 seasons, and I didn't write his stats down. I'm pretty sure he's 6 for 11 throwing the ball. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He went 3 for 4 against Rutgers. I mean, geez, Tate Martell went perfect against Rutgers. Like,
if he is,
that's not some great thing that you should really hang your hat on. Because
I hate to break to the Michigan fan base. If this guy was Harbaugh's finally quarterback, there's no way in hell that Shea Patterson starts over him, because
not in year 2.
This kid beats him out. I mean, these guys are going to go with their quarterback over, a transfer kid. I think, but just getting back to Minnesota beats them. I think it'll be interesting if there is something with the COVID. If there is a COVID related, kids not being able to play, that will be an interesting thing. I am high on Minnesota. I've always been high on PJ Fleck. I'm high on Minnesota. I kind of consider Minneapolis kind of like Columbus, that it's a place that if they really put their mind to it, they could actually build a good football program there, because you got city life behind you, and there's just a lot of things you can offer that a smaller college town can't.
I honestly believe in somewhere between like 2 to 4 seasons that Minnesota and Nebraska are going to take over Wisconsin and Iowa as the two bigger powerhouses in the West.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to kind of our remaining thoughts about the big one coming up here on Saturday, the opener. So I wanted to do kind of a 3 things. Basically what they are is, something on offense that you are looking for Ohio State to do for them to be successful in this game, something on defense that Ohio State needs to do to be successful in this game, and then a player. And that player literally could be, is he a breakout player? Is he a difference maker? Somebody that needs to step up,
right?
Whatever. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. This is, we're expecting a lot from our offense this year. So what is the one offensive thing you think that Ohio State really needs to do to win this game?
So I was going to do a little cop out first and just say, make sure that the train keeps rolling, that all pieces are moving how they should. But honestly, I think receivers are fine. No. So I think running back's going to be fine. People are, I heard earlier Desmond Howard saying, they're not J.K. Dobbins. You got to replace all that. Well, they replaced Ezekiel Elliott with Mike Weber. He ran for over 1,000 yards. He was the Big Ten freshman of the year. And he got better every year. The offensive line is better now. I think these guys are better than what Mike Weber was as a freshman. So I think they'll be fine, but I am interested to see how these 2 new running backs do. But I think this offensive, and actually to go along with that, I'm interested to see how the offensive line does. Harry Miller and Nicholas Petit-Frere, especially Harry Miller. I want to see how badly he hurts these linebackers for Nebraska.
Yeah. I'm going the same way with you on the running back. The running game, that's we got to see how it moves from J.K. Dobbins to these guys.
And I know Nebraska's not Clemson, but Ohio State comes out and runs for 200 yards, something like that. How are you feeling about the year?
Yeah,
pretty damn good.
Really good. And Ohio State's offense will benefit the running backs because you're going to be able to spread them out with your good receiving core. You're going to have an unbelievable running offensive line. And the fact that you got Justin Fields back there as a running threat quarterback that just takes a lot of eyeballs. You got to have an eyeball on Justin Fields. You got to have eyeballs on those receivers. So now you have your offensive line has got less people in the box, and they're supposed to be one of the best offensive lines in the country. So that's good for Sermon and Teague. So I'm thinking, running the ball is where I want to see. It's just, it's time to, going to Desmond's point. This is not the first time Ohio State's been in this rodeo. We've had
they've always done it.
Pepe Pearson wasn't Eddie George, but he replaced Eddie George just fine. Boom Heron wasn't Beanie, but
right. And I would say maybe that was your biggest drop off out of all of them was Beanie to Boom.
Yeah, maybe. Clarett to Lydell.
That's a big one. But that's not intentional. That's just
So
if Clarett stays how long it should roll Clarett to Antonio Pittman.
Yeah. All right. So your defensive thoughts. What's the word? Who has to show up on defense?
You need that slot corner and Marcus Hooker or Josh Proctor to show up and keep, the roof on the stadium against Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah.
And Alante Brown. And I don't think Omar Manning's really going to be a type of guy, if he is healthy, that he's going to give much trouble to that part of the field. So don't let 2018 happen again. That's where I think your biggest thing is on defense.
That's I feel exactly the same way. I'm going to go with that on the next one when we talk more on the player. Actually, just the biggest thing I want to see on defensive line.
Yeah.
They was disappointed a little bit in them last year at the end of the year. Chase, we joke around. He got, tackled and kicked and everything else.
Quadruple team.
And nobody stepped up. And these guys are legit. Zach Harrison had a great year up till when we needed him to be, same thing with Tyreek Smith. These guys need to come. Chase Young ain't there. It's their time now. And, and you don't need a Chase Young. You don't need a Joey Bosa. You don't need a Nick Bosa. You need that group, that 2017, the Rushmen. I don't care. I just want to see people disrupting the quarterback.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think anything on the defensive line though, and I know you met the whole unit together, but I'm interested in the interior to see how they do against the run.
Yeah.
And I think Nebraska will take some shots at that interior line with Dedrick Mills. He's a big guy.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
agree.
how he runs.
And so, and then your player, who's your breakout player or player that needs to step up? Where are you falling in on this one?
I think this guy might be my breakout player every game this year. Garrett Wilson. He's going to be the biggest mismatch on the field.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson is an absolute stud, and I don't know who's going to cover him in the middle of the field.
I'm looking so forward to watching Garrett Wilson play because I mean the dude impressed the shit out of me. You know, excuse my language on
Jar.
that. Yeah.
That's a joke. We say that when we curse in front of my son that you got to put $1 in the swear jar.
Yeah. He's not here, so that's
we do not have to do a jar for that
jar thing. But he I mean he is going to be such a mismatch, and just from Urban to Ryan Day, they have loved the slot receivers. Maybe it wasn't Urban's vision of what the slot receiver never turned out to be, but when they finally got
but when Ryan Day got there, he liked those slot receivers a lot.
Slot receivers when he's actually getting them upfield and stuff like that, and they do so much damage against the middle of the field, and
Hartline's the best coach in the business.
You can just tell the difference between the route running abilities that these kids have compared to where they were before.
Real quick on that thought, just because I thought about this earlier today and I didn't want to go without saying it here. So 2018, we had a special year. Receivers that underperformed really up until 2018, they really broke out. Who do you think gets the most credit for that? Would that be Dwayne Haskins, Brian Hartline, or Ryan Day?
I think it's probably the ones that get the most credit for are Ryan Day
or deserves the most credit for it,
and Dwayne Haskins. But I think the one that probably deserves the most is Brian Hartline. I think
Paris Campbell was a second round draft pick.
You can just if you actually watch game film or just rewatch games. I mean, I don't actually watch legitimate game film. I don't watch all 22s, but I rewatch games a lot. You just pick up different things. They run so much more crisper routes now than they ever did before. Before Brian Hartline, it was either we're going to bomb it down the field or we're going to maybe try a little slant pass, the Michael Thomas slant pass against Michigan State where, he takes it 50 yards and he does that to Virginia Tech also. I mean, there's not a lot of,
or it's just like, do what you want.
Yeah.
Like just run wherever. I mean, those are it was hard to watch the receivers.
Now you see they're actually running receiving routes on all three levels. So they have an intermediate or they have a short route, intermediate, and a deep route. That's how teams run passing games. And you can tell these kids all know how to run. You can tell a guy that spent a lot of time in the NFL. And I think a lot of people forget that I believe he had 3 different NFL contracts. So
yeah,
Brian Hartline made his money in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
Brian Hartline don't have to be
he doesn't have to be a college coach if he doesn't want to be.
The Browns gave him a good contract, his final NFL contract, I believe that was.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he made his dough in the NFL. So, I mean, he doesn't have to do what he's doing now. And you can tell that a guy that played NFL football that understands NFL routes is teaching these kids how to run routes.
And Garrett Wilson was probably already ahead of the pack coming in. And he's, like I said, he's just going to be a mismatch for everybody this year. On the outside, he was a mismatch for everybody because he can go up and get kids like 6 foot. He can jump 10 feet in the air though. And now, I mean, you're going to put him against a linebacker or a safety.
Yeah.
You better hope they have a good slot cornerback like Ohio State does.
Yeah. So on my player is whoever is on Wandale. And the caveat to it, are they running? It's whoever that guy is. Are they running the 3 corners, 1 safety look? So it's Marcus. Or is Josh Proctor in there as a second safety?
Yeah.
Are they running a nickel and Marcus is in there, but you also still have 2 safeties in there? A point or 2 in this game, a linebacker is going to get on him. So how does that person do against him? Because with this kid, I just have visions of Rondale Moore just running all over the field against them. And who's getting the ball but yet somehow they can't stop him. And I just, whoever that guy is, they need a good zone package put in there, hybrid zone package, maybe put a man on him and then have a zone in there too. I mean, you need to try to double cover him as best as possible. And so it's whoever's on that kid just needs to show up and they need to play their abilities on him.
Pete Warner's going to get him.
Pete the Freak. It's whatever.
They're going to hand it off to him, and Pete Warner's just going to wrestle him down. You watch.
Maybe hit him a little hard and knock him out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see how much they hand off to him, because they said they want him to be a receiver. There's no way they can afford to do that.
All right.
You got to get the ball in his hands anyways that you can.
Oh, and you have to. He's got to touch the ball a bunch in this game.
I'm interested to see how much they try to run Martinez too, and how effective it is.
Yeah.
Because Ohio State, after that Trevor Lawrence debacle and
they said they fixed some stuff on defense. So I won't see where Ohio State, what they did fix.
Yeah.
Score prediction. So Ohio State is a 26-point favorite.
I've been going back and forth with this one. First I thought, Nebraska 26, Nebraska's got a lot of talent. They're going to prove something. Scott Frost is coming in hungry. Both these teams want to be on the field. Then I'm looking, anything Ohio State's replacing, Nebraska's replacing also, and Ohio State's replacing it with more talented kids that probably have more playing time than what Nebraska kids do. So I do think Ohio State will, cover that spread. I'm saying 52-13.
It's a good score. I like it. I'm a little different than you. I don't think they're going to cover the spread. Reasoning is I just think there's going to be some sloppiness in this game because it's the first game.
Right.
And they haven't played. And
they got a lot of new pieces.
And Nebraska, I mean, it's going to be a sloppy game for Nebraska too. But the difference is Nebraska is going to have, both teams want to play. And I don't want to say Ohio State doesn't want to play.
Right.
Just the way the media is treating Nebraska. Nebraska is going to come in with that extra oomph that's going to get them through the first quarter. And so this will be a close game in the first half. I see Ohio State being somewhere ahead, 17-10, 17-14, and they're going into halftime. And then my final scores, Ohio State wins 41-17. I just think Ohio State's the better team. They pull away from them in the second half. Whatever there is going to, the rust will get knocked off probably about halfway through the second quarter, and then they're going to have a great drive to,
I don't
put them in there.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking Nebraska's going to score first, honestly.
Could see that.
I don't know. Something about it. I think Nebraska's going to score first.
I think,
but Ohio State's going to score the rest of them.
I think where Ohio State's going to break this game open. Now, I've already been on record. I said I think Garrett Wilson's going to score his first punt return in the second game of the season against Penn State. I'm not going to. He's going to break a punt in this game, but it's not going to get taken back all the way to the house. But it's going to be a huge punt return. He's just, somebody's going to have an angle on him. Whatever. He's going to get caught. Somebody's going to push him out to the sideline, and that's where the game's going to break open.
Outside of special teams, any 50+ yard gains?
I think I could see Justin Fields or Trey Sermon are going to have a 50+ yard touchdown run in this game. Don't know which one yet, and there is going to be at least one 50+ yard touchdown pass.
Juice.
Could be Juice. Could be Garrett Wilson on just a 10-yard throw, and he turned and he just has nobody has an angle on him.
I'm telling you, man, that kid stays healthy. I don't know if he'll get the catches to win Blitnikoff, but he's going to have an amazing year.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, man, Just a couple days now.
I'm so excited. I mean, I can't believe we got to this point. I really can't. It just felt like we were never going to get here. And
knock on wood, nothing crazy happens the next 2 days. Like I was telling, I mean, the numbers here in Ohio have been spiking. I text John earlier, like they need to keep them locked away.
Well, I mean, and I said this before, if any team has the resources and the will to create a bubble to keep their team safe, it will be Ohio State.
And we read that it's not only that these kids are scared about disappointing their coaches and stuff. There's leadership on this team that, Justin Fields, Sean Wade and Wyatt Davis, they opted out and to come back. And do you think Sean Wade is going to be happy at somebody if a freshman goes out to a freaking party? And
you ever watch the U Part 2?
I have not.
I mean, I won't get too much into it, but there's a part that they're talking about that they didn't need after the national title year. Pretty much when Coker comes in, they didn't need those coaches for practice. Those seniors ran practice. Yeah. If someone messed up, the players handled it themselves.
Yeah, and we read a thing the other day on one of the, I believe it was on the Scoop,
Buckeye Scoop. Yep.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of good things that are coming out about the leadership on this team. So I feel fine where Ohio State is at. I don't think Ohio State is gonna, as long as, my biggest fear with Ohio State is I don't think you're going to have an outbreak on the team where it's going to just take 5 or 6 kids out right away and then you're out the next.
I hope not, because that shuts the program down for a week.
But what makes me nervous is you might lose a guy or two this week and then a guy or two next week and then
it goes 21 days
and then you have then that finally, and then you might actually have to sit out a week before some guys get back because you have a couple guys out every week. Right now it doesn't seem like that's the case. It doesn't seem like we've had any positive tests, so I feel confident about how they're handling it, and I think the players are policing themselves well.
Yeah. Can I ask you 2 quick questions?
Sure.
Okay. First, do you think it's going to be as enjoyable without a crowd? Why? Just being a spectator watching it on TV.
I've always, sometimes.
I mean, you and I said we won a season. I don't care if anyone's there. I'm watching it on my television, but
no offense to some of the Ohio State older fan base. The noon crowd sometimes even on TV
they're dead.
They're sleepers unless it's Michigan. Normally the Michigan game is always an explosive game, but normally, I mean, and now that big noon is a big thing on Fox, maybe it's been a little bit different last year when we had a couple big noon games. I'm sure the Penn State game was pretty explosive. And from what I remember, the fans were really into that game. Sometimes these noon games, and even against bigger schools, sometimes just don't seem like they it seems like that they want to be there at times. I'm upset that the band isn't going to be there. I
think that's ridiculous.
I don't get why that you can't.
Brutus isn't even allowed in the stadium.
If you're not going to have a fan base, how the heck can't you take the entire south end zones and just stretch the band out?
Oh, right. I know. I mean, it's so easy to do. So I don't get that either. And then second question, well, I guess, is it going to be as enjoyable?
I mean, this week, yes.
Because you're getting football, but
next week, and it's weird. I've never been to Happy Valley. I've always enjoyed the whiteout because everybody gets so afraid of the whiteout. And Ohio State has won more whiteout games than they've lost whiteout games. So I love going in the whiteout and beating them.
It's a hostile crowd.
2 years ago, and that comeback, that was one of the greatest feelings when you see the look on some of their faces because it happened the year before that in Columbus, and it's like you could tell that like these guys they're just watching deja vu all over.
And they never thought that was going to happen on their home field.
Yeah. So, that was one of the greatest satisfactions for me watching that. So that's going to stink because I actually do enjoy watching that game when they are in Happy Valley because it's a fun game to watch.
On Happy Valley.
I won't know. I don't think I'm going to notice it as much this week, but probably going forward, I will.
Yeah, that's going to be a night game, too. That's going to be really strange. Yeah. Second question, and I know, like you, me, all these fans, we all said, we don't care. Do whatever you can to get back on the field. Ohio State, if they get positive test, and Justin Fields or someone big is out for 3 weeks and we lose to, say, like Michigan, or we lose the Big Ten championship game, can you get over it? Can you accept it?
I mean, I'll get over it. I mean, it's going to be, I'll accept it too. It's,
does that team need to put an asterisk next to the record?
No, I'm not doing the whole asterisk thing. I'm getting ticked off if I'm already going to see people complaining in the, in the SEC and
how many fire Kevin Warren hashtags will come
now,
from
there
this?
might be a couple of those that come out. I mean, you gotta play the game that you gotta play.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what the rules are now. What I'm honestly more worried about, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist thing. Like, I'm thinking about like Michigan, and I hope nobody gets fatally ill or seriously ill from this disease. But I can see Michigan the week before the Ohio State game having a COVID party, so they don't have to play that game.
So trying to ruin our season.
I know that's maybe conspiracy theory, but I don't know. Jim Harbaugh is a weird dude, and I can see we're gonna.
He is a weird dude.
Like these moms and these parents that when one of their kids get chicken pox, all their kids they have their chicken pox party, so they all get their chicken pox to get it out of the way.
People still do that?
I mean, I think that was when we were growing up type of thing. But even though we didn't do it, I think we got I don't know. Do we have it at the same times?
I feel like anything one of us got, the other one always got right afterwards.
Yeah. I knew a couple friends who their moms did that, where they, got all their siblings together.
Got the chicken pox party, just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I don't know. And like I said, that's a conspiracy theory thing, but I can see that spiteful fan base and being okay with that up there, that, at least we didn't have to lose again and we cost them playoffs. Yes.
I could see Michigan doing that.
But okay. No, I mean, I think
it would be a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
It really would be.
It would be. That's why
hopefully we don't get there.
I think Justin Fields, he said all his classes are online. I think he's being, they're keeping him.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't.
And this whole thing with them having to do the daily testing, it sounds like it's done right in the morning, and they take their test and then they pass and then they, do whatever they have to do.
I mean, you got to imagine it's got to be hard for a kid not to be a kid, but especially, darn well the kids around campus want Ohio State players at their parties, but
yeah. And I have a feeling here, just because of what we've seen, Michigan, I believe, just sent their students back home, but they said the football team can stay.
I'm sure that might happen in Columbus.
I think it's coming. It's going to be sooner than later. I actually see it within the next couple of weeks that the Ohio State students will probably get sent home.
Yeah.
And so, and then it's, you don't have to worry about it as much, because as long as, you're not leaving campus to, anything outside of campus, order DoorDash. I'm sure, hopefully Cane's down there. I know a lot of them love that, is on DoorDash. I know the one by us isn't on DoorDash, which, sucks, but so, but yeah, just got to do, what's thrown at you right now. So you just got to do your part.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to get back to that playoff.
Yeah. Alrighty. I think we're going to call it a night. I'm super stoked about what's getting ready to happen. And, we just have now 2 more nights after tonight. So we're going to have just remember, subscribe to us, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're a podcast listener, come over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to us over there. YouTube person, go find us on a podcast network and subscribe to us, double, triple, quadruple down on us. Everything that we're on, you should be following us on. That way, helps us out. We'll get information out to everybody. We'll get our opinions out and we'll enjoy talking to everybody. So let's call it an evening.
All right, guys, Buckeye Nation. This is what we've been waiting for. 1 of 9. Well, I can't wait for it. I know you guys are pumped too. So just give us those comments. Let's all get talking at this bar here. Thanks for coming out tonight to the Buckeye Bar. I'm John.
I'm Mike.
OH.
IO. Well, thank you for watching here, the Buckeye Bar Guys, here on the Buckeye Bar Talk Network. Please subscribe to the network, and when you get the little notification bell, just hit that. Hit all notifications. That way you will get alerted when all the new episodes come up. Comment, like the show, and we hope you join our community. Come join our bar.
Like, comment, share. I'm John. That's Mike. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.